Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Devil Survivor 2, the animation, episode 11 review. That is 1-1. So before I get started, let me say here that I do apologize for not posting this episode review of Devil Survivor 2, the animation, earlier, because it came out on Thursday, and I'm doing this review on Sunday. But it is what it is, and better late than never. So let's move along, and that's the end of the story. So that being said, this episode of Devil Survivor 2, which I believe is the second to last one before the series finale, because next week it should be the end of it. First of all, let me start by saying that there's obviously a lot of character deaths, the most character deaths we've seen in one episode. Because the last time we saw a lot of deaths was, I believe, episode 8 or episode 7. One of those two. And we saw the nurse die, we saw Joe die, and then the leader of the Nagia branch, the rebels. All three of them died. And then in this episode, we have Irie, she dies. Hinako, she dies. Jungo, he dies. And surprisingly enough, Fumi, she dies as well. So those four die. So this has been the most character deaths that we've seen in one episode of Devil Survivor 2, the animation. And I think the biggest one that surprised me was Fumi, because I was like, really? You? Because she was like away in on a skyscraper. She summoned a demon to counteract the frequency of the last septentrion. And like when last septentrion, after his frequency was counteracted, basically it was like, okay, so now I'm gonna fire a fucking beam in your location, takes out the demon, and fires another beam that climbs up the actual skyscraper. And I'm thinking to myself, she's talking to Makoto, and she's saying, well, I'm probably not gonna make it. I'm like, you can make it. Like this thing was a straight line. It was a straight, it was going up straight. In my opinion, she could have not sidestepped it like on some Goku shit, but she could have jumped to the side, or at least try and gone down the staircase, because the way the trajectory was, it was a straight line, and the beam was climbing up the skyscraper, the building. So Fumi could have lived, but she just stood there. And I like the fact that she maintained her very stoic nature, even in death. Like, she knew she was gonna die. I mean, again, in my personal opinion, she could have lived, but she knew she was gonna die. And she is very nonchalant, so this is death. I wish I would have met Polaris. I wish I would have met him and been judged and see the world into whatever comes out of it. But she was gonna die, and she accepted it, and that was it. So she maintains her character even in death, and that to me I thought was very good. So props to her. Jungo and Irie, the way they died, it was like, honest to God, it was like what ifs. It was like truly what ifs. It was like it was what ifs. It was what ifs. It was like Irie was trapped amongst all the exploding things that were in the first episode of Devil Survivor 2, the animation. And I'll get to that later, obviously. But the thing about it is that she was surrounded by those spike exploding things, and then Jungo comes in and tries to save her, and then they run into another one that's about to explode, and then pretty much the explosion kills him. And then Hinako died the same way. But more or less, she just stood there and then took it, because it was like she knew she couldn't escape. And it was kind of like she's telling Daichi, don't worry about me, take care of Nita, because, well, I'm pretty much gone. It's game over for me. And then she says, this is my final request. And then there's an explosion. So she dies. So Hinako went out, in my personal opinion, in order of impact of death, it's last Jungo Irie, after that Hinako, after that Fumi. So those are the order of impact of death, how much they impacted me personally. Now, when it came to So let's go with the last septentrion, alright? Bane. I forgot its full name, like Bane Teisei or Bane Tansei, some of that nature. Bane to me, I think looks shitty as fuck. I'll be honest, alright? Its concept was mad cool. It is the accumulation of the other, of the previous septentrion. And their powers just melded into one. Like Fumi said, like, it's pretty much the chief. And it was a dreidel. I'm like, what the fuck? It looked so unimpressive, bro. I'm not even fucking with you. I'm like, this thing sucks. Like, it looked so unimpressive. It was a dreidel. It was small. Like, I was hoping for, like, something insanely epic. You know, like, I was hoping for, like, a big-ass, like, Titan dude. Like, yeah, punch! Like, I was hoping for something epic. But no. And I was hoping that it would be called something more associable. Like, the name Bane Tansei, I don't know what the hell that even means. But I was hoping it would be called something along the lines of, like, Saiyan or some shit like that. Like, that would have been, like, I'd been like, whoa. But no. But it's last septentrion. And it looked shitty. But it was beastly. It looked shitty as fuck. But it was beastly. This thing wiped out all the branches in like less than 5 fucking minutes. With the exception of Tokyo. Because that's, I mean, you know, like that's the branch where the main characters were. And I'm like, bro, like, it takes out Sapporo. It takes out Osaka. It takes out Nagoya, like, quick as fuck. And then the void, the moment those towers are destroyed, the void just sweeps in like, yeah, take over. And all the people that remained there were erased from existence. So, like that shit was good. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like, even though it looked shitty as fuck, even though it was a dreidel made out of clay, not literally, it was still beastly. Red beams and shit. It had the red beam. It had the purple side beam. It had the exploding ball parts. And the exploding ball parts had those big sludge parts on them and shit. I'm like, yo, like, it's a combination of all shit we've seen, like literally. So like it was beastly. Truth be told, and also it could regenerate. I'm like, what? So, like, yeah, that was very nice. And so that's the last septentrion, alright? And then, from then on, let's talk about a quick little scene with Alcor. Basically, Alcor, he meets his 2 subordinates, right? The other demon and then Bifrost. I forgot what the other guy's name is. But basically, the other guy, he's talking about how, like, yo, like, why the fuck are we still here? Like, this is humanity's trial. And then Alcor explains to him how he just wants to see. He wants to, you know, because he's anguished over humans for a long time. And basically, the end result is a disagreement between the other guy and Alcor. Alcor literally compresses and crushes this guy. And then, like, this guy disappears. And then he's talking to Bifrost. He's like, what about you? And Bifrost is like, no. It's cool. It's cool, bro, man. I'm with you, man. I'll see you later, bro. Like, he's like, literally. And before he runs for the hills. He runs for the fucking hills. Now, there's a little scene here where we see Alcor, like, warp over to where Hibiki is sleeping. Because, again, Hibiki, after using the power of Rumiaku in yesterday, last episode of Devil Slayer 2, he was injured and he was weak, and thus he had to be basically he was bedridden for like a few hours. And Alcor warps over to his location and starts talking. And then he says something about like the last day and yada yada, like not really important stuff. It really wasn't. But basically, the thing about it that I noticed is that I'm starting to think that Alcor is like almost omnipresent because he's too. like the transition from like his screen to like where he goes to, there is no like warp line thing. It's like he's already there. It's like, what the fuck is going on? So I mean, at least he must be close to omnipresent, because he's just there. Like, he's already there. Like, by the time he got to Hibiki's location, the cup was already in the fucking chair. Like, it was not even touched. I think he's omnipresent. I really do, because it's... I could be wrong, but that's what I think, because he's just too... Like, the way it's depicted, as if like he was already staying there for like the longest time. So, I could be wrong, but we'll see where that goes. And he may... I'm starting to think that this guy may wind up fighting Yamato and Hibiki next episode. For some reason, I don't know. Like, Porus may have like another trial, and like that last trial is Alcor himself. I have no idea. And then, so from then on, we go to like the fights, okay? So that's number 3 right there with Alcor. Number 4 is gonna be the fights, and the fight between, basically, it's Gyps versus Bene, whatever his name is, alright? The last septentrion. Not bad. Like, it's not bad, and it got really good to the point, because like, what's happening is that like they summon their demons, and like the demons do their thing, then it regenerates, then has its parts split up, and one part starts to emit a frequency that negate the demons. However, Fumi was like, again, she was on some other building like across the fucking like sea line or across the bay, and then she uses another demon of hers, like a trumpet type demon, to cancel the frequency that the last septentrion is emitting. And then it's like, okay, so again, like I told you, how the guy, septentrion, laser fire, fuck you. And then it fires up the exploding spear parts that take out Jungo, Airi, and then Hinako. And then what remains is basically, it's like, it's Hotsuki and Yamato going like one-on-one. Like, and this guy's on some like, there goes my hero shit. Like, there goes my hero. Watch him as he... Like, seriously, I'm like he's flying around shit. He's firing all these, like, pulsars, like, yeah! Like, there was one scene, Beastly, where he's like, yeah! And like, he's firing pulsars. I'm like, this guy's awesome. Like, he's, truth be told, he's awesome. And he's flying around, he's doing a thing. And then, at some point, because, like, he couldn't maintain the protection of all those around him, because it took up too much stamina. So that's why, like, when there's that one scene where he's protecting Airi, Jungo, Hinako, Makoto, Daichi, and Nita, Yamato has to shrink his protection seal to just himself. So the energy wave will, like, split apart and, like, hit the surrounding area, and thus possibly injuring his comrades. Of course, to him, they're not comrades, they're subjects. I mean, that's the way Yamato thinks, you know, because, again, the strong survive, the weak die. And the exploding spears, again, they kill Airi, Jungo, and Hinako. At some point, they get over to fucking goddamn Daichi, Makoto, and Nita. And all of a sudden, as it explodes, Suzaku, bam, right there. It takes it, and then it disappears. That, to me, disappointing. Because Suzaku is supposed to be like... Byakko-class demons should be able to take much more damage. Like, I've seen Byakko take much more damage than, like, exploding things. And so Suzaku, it should be on the same level as Byakko. But it took the explosion and then, like, it disappeared. So, I'm like, what the fuck? And then Byakko starts blitzing around, starts, like, destroying parts of the last septentrion. And then at one point in time, Byakko's gonna go for a counterattack. The last septentrion, mad cool, dreidel, split, beam, like side beam, and then Byakko's like cut in half. So, again, looked shitty, but it was impressive nonetheless. And basically, Byakko, he's gone. So all their demons are now taken out. And basically, it's the Shining Ones doing their powers, using the power of Ryumyaku They're basically like levitating. Well, no, Yamato's levitating, and like they're doing the protection circles and blocking the attacks and attacking. Hibiki has like this weird power projectile now, apparently, that like vaporizes anything in its path. And then, of course, Yamato pulsars, yeah. And then that's what they're doing, and they're on like protect duty. And then they make like at some point they're arguing like with each other, because again, the whole entire thing about Yamato is that Yamato, he connects with Hibiki because Hibiki is like the only person that he's ever met like himself. Because Alcor he's a septentrion, so he's above and beyond. But he always figured, like for example, right, like this is the way I think Yamato had it in his mind. Yamato is like the Vegeta, and Hibiki would be like the Nappa. You know, like they would lead the world into a new era of peace. But the forerunner would be Yamato, and Hibiki would be like the runner-up. But that's not the way it works out, because Hibiki thinks way too differently than Yamato. He thinks way too differently, alright? Him, the strong survive, the weak die. Yamato. Hibiki, we're all weak. That's why we have to rely on one another to get the job done. So right there, two extreme parallels. And he understands that now, you know what, like there's no way he can follow me anymore, so at some point, gonna have to kill Hibiki. At some point, gonna have to do it. And then, but at this point in time, they come close to each other. They do the double barrier to block the last attack from this, from the last septentrion, the red beam. And then he condenses the beam and starts to break through that shit. All of a sudden, Daichi pulls out like a fucking one-move wonder. Summons like this big ass thing called Jack Frost, which apparently is more powerful than Ball and all the other demons. Apparently, Jack Frost. And it looked weird. Obviously, it looked weird as shit. But again, it was beastly because Jack Frost came in there. It headbutted Bonnet. He-ho! Like, the weird shit. He-ho! And then ice. Some napping. Ice. Ice goes through it. And then the guys are covering. And then it starts to it splits up. No. It splits apart, does the side beam again, and then apparently Daichi is like overriding the power of Jack Frost. So I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. I thought only the fucking shining ones could do that. How can Daichi do that now? So, I mean, is he a shining one? Like, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't have no idea. And by the way, Nita could use Lug for like, she used Lug for like a split second, but not a big deal. Not really, no, not a big deal at all. But basically, it was like, okay, Daichi, Jack Frost. Gave Jack Frost, like, fires a side beam. Jack Frost bulldozed through the side beam. So at this point in time, I'm thinking that, okay, well, Daichi may be a shining one. But probably not. Probably not. I mean, maybe it was like a one-time thing. I don't know. But regardless, he did it. Jack Frost came in there, punch, thing splits apart. We see its core starts to reform. And then we have Hibiki destroy one of the parts. Yamato, it's over, septentrion. And then Pulsar destroys the core. The core is broken up into parts. And then the final words that the septentrion disappears. It's dead. And after that, a little scene here where basically Yamato tells them, because he won't let him go. He won't let him go because he understands that Yamato is trying to make this world based on only his ambition and his notions of the strong surviving and the weak dying. The quote unquote, the talented shall rule the world. So he has to stop him. And he's like, okay, you can stop me, but if you fail, I'm gonna kill you. That's just the way it is. And all of a sudden, here comes Alcor. I won't let you kill Hibiki. And that's where shit ends. So next week we're gonna see. Next week is Polaris. I mean, I'm dying to see Polaris. I'm dying to see Polaris. And the thing about it is that, okay, so like there's one other part of the episode which I'm gonna leave out because it's like a flashback of like Hibiki talking to his parents and like his friendship with Daichi, which I think has no relevance as right now. I mean, like it has. I think that flashback was just there to motivate Hibiki to waking up so he can save Daichi and his friends. Of course, he failed because he couldn't save Airi, Jungo, and Hinako and Fumi already died too. So the thing about it is that I don't see it being relevant next week. I mean, it may be relevant in the case of him remembering those times with Daichi and thus trying to convince Polaris that to change the world or to like remake the world or to like rewind time and make it the way it was. I don't know. My opinion, there should be a new world change. That's what I want to see. I want to see a new world change where they make a new world and then something stems from this new world. Something. I don't want to see a reversal in time where they remake, where Polaris, revamps the world. Like where he just brings it back. No, that to me would be disappointing. It really would be, because it'd be like, you've gone through all this shit, you've gone through all these trials and tribulations, but the only ones that know about the will of Polaris will be the ones who are already there. Now, granted, I don't know what's happened to the other GIPS members in the GIPS headquarters of Tokyo. I don't know what happened to them. I have no idea. I don't know where they are, because they should be alive. But at the end of the episode, we see the GIPS headquarters. It's empty, like no one's there. When like 5 minutes ago, it was full with all these GIPS coordinators. So I'm thinking, like, where the fuck do all those people go? That's a question that has to be answered. Where'd they all go? Because they didn't die. I don't know, but I have no idea. But either way, what we see here is that when it comes to the main cast, these guys should be the forerunners of this new world. If you bring back the old world, then the same old tendencies are going to remain unless Polaris can like specifically alter something in the human makeup, like on some reality open shit. If he can alter reality in some way, which he can, then he can alter something and change the human nature. But I don't know, because again, they have to be judged by Polaris. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm hoping it's gonna be a new world. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm praying for. And we'll leave it at that, because I'm thinking Yamato's gonna die at some point, either when they meet Polaris or before they meet Polaris. I see Hotsui Yamato dying, either by Hibiki's hands or by Alcor's hands, or maybe even by Polaris himself. I don't know. I have no idea. But if he does die, I will not be surprised. But where we go from here is going to be a big question, because we're not too sure. We're not too sure. So overall, the episode is actually a pretty good episode. It really is. I mean, because the flashback is not, I don't see it being relevant at all. So that to me was like a waste of, that to me was a waste. However, excluding that, the character deaths, the beastliness, not the beastly look, the beastliness of Bane, the last septentrion, the fights themselves, where Hotsui Yamato and Hibiki and like they do their thing, and Jack Frost, corny but still pretty beastly. And then at the end of the day, we have we're on like basically the progress of the story, because it is they finally be in septentrion. They be in septentrion. And now it's Polaris. Where you at, bro? Wait. Where you at, bro? So they're waiting for Polaris. So overall, episode, I'll give it a good. Good plus. Bump it up. So I'm done. King Lightning. Be sure, of course, rate, comment, and subscribe as always. Peace! Have a nice day.